Hello and welcome to RU Game Studios. It is Briarpatch week. That's right, all week long we're going to be playing Briarpatch games, posting some videos about Briarpatch, and I thought we could kick the whole week off with a little interview with the lead project manager and game designer for Briarpatch, and frankly, all around super cool dude, Mr. Daniel Fox.
How you doing?
Hello, Daniel.
Good.
Welcome to the studio.
I know, it feels like I just saw you in the hallway like 100 feet away.
It's crazy, right? I mean, totally. You don't work in an office 100 feet from where we're sitting right now. But no, thank you so much for sitting down with me, for real.
Of course.
I gotta say, I'm thoroughly enjoying, first off, all of Briarpatch products, but you have been working specifically, because you've been here for about a year?
About a year and a few months now.
Year and a few months. Okay, and these games right here are all you, right?
They are. Well, it's a team effort,
It's a team effort,
yes.
absolutely, absolutely. Why don't you first tell us a bit about you? Who are you, Daniel Fox?
Yeah, so I'm Daniel. I've been a game designer for 10 plus years. I've worked in advertising and marketing for 20. The thing that brought me to University Games, having two young children, was this desire to work on games that were for preschoolers, which are like perfect for my kids. So
there you go.
After a series of fun interviews and meeting Bob and the team in San Francisco, I joined as the lead of Briarpatch. And in Briarpatch, we create fun learning games for kids between the ages of 2 and 6, and they're based off most literary characters that most of us probably know. So Richard Scarry, Pete the Cat, The Very Hungry Caterpillar.
Love me some Eric Carle.
Yeah, that's right. First 100 for those who know that book series.
Absolutely.
And many, many others, including some games we do here in-house that are white label. So, our games are based around kind of the core concepts of what we call our play and learn system.
Yeah, so tell me about the play and learn system. I see it marked on all the boxes here.
The play and learn system introduces 5 key disciplines to children. All of our games are based around this. In fact, it's kind of the hallmark of all of our games. Nice. And that ranges from anything from imagination, so getting kids to kind of imagine themselves as these characters or to play games or pretend. Coordination, so the act of like manipulating large and small parts, because we know that preschoolers are still learning that they're used to their hands.
Absolutely.
Right, so hand-eye coordination.
I'm still getting used to mine.
I know, right?
38 years later.
So social skills, so interacting, learning how to take turns, learning how to cooperate, learning how to compete. Which is also important. Early mathematical skills, so not like division and multiplication, but which object is larger, which is smaller, spatial recognition, memory. So all those things are the cornerstone of the play and learn system. And every game that we create around these beloved literary properties starts first with those concepts of the play and learn system.
I love that. That's fantastic. As someone who has young children as well, it's great that you're focusing on things that are helping their brain while also entertaining them.
That's right. I think sometimes the big E word, education, can be scary. Right?
Or it could turn off some kids, be like, I don't want to learn, I want fun.
But fun's important. I mean, fun
absolutely.
There's these 5 concepts at University Games we use to kind of define what makes a good game. Fun is at the center of that, and I think the thing that's really neat about Briarpatch is that we create these games that kind of hide the educational element, the learning element, behind all the fun and interactivity.
It's fun out loud, and then education quietly. Don't tell them that it's education, but they're learning while they have the fun.
Well, I think the important thing to know about the educational elements is that teachers are talking to parents about, here's what you need to do to prepare your child for kindergarten. You're a parent, you know this, I know this. So all of our games, we take these kind of concepts called school readiness that factors into all the games we develop. So our hope is that, through the act of gameplay, that kids build the foundational skills not only to prepare them for kindergarten, but also beyond. So self-esteem, self-awareness, community building, all these things are very important. They start at a very young age, and we kind of deliver that whenever we create our games.
I see you've got some games out here. Let's chat about these real fast. We got Pete the Cat Bedtime Blues Game.
So this is probably one of my favorite new games we just created.
Yeah, because this is brand new, right?
Yeah, just came out. It should be on Amazon, I think, by the time this interview comes out. But this game started from the idea of, the bedtime routine, right? So we both have kids, it's like trying to get them to go to bed is difficult. And there's all these things that you do, like these rituals. So brushing your teeth, getting your pajamas on, or taking a bath, brushing your teeth, putting your pajamas on, getting into bed with your loveies and your blanket.
Yeah.
So this game gamifies that. In fact, because it leads into the imagination element, it actually has children pretending to do these activities as they place their kiddies into bed. But the bed, of course, can pop up. It's an interactive toy in a game.
Ooh, okay.
So this one was a lot of fun to create with the team. And it's, of course, based off Pete the Cat, which is, I think, one of my favorite literary licenses, even before working at University Games.
They're fun books.
They are.
They're really fun books. They play with, I don't know, Pete the Cat. He's so cool,
He's a cool cat.
He's a cool cat.
That's literally in the name.
He's a cool cat. And I love this because it seems like the perfect game to play, like, right before bed.
That's right. And I think that, parents probably already know the Bedtime Blues book.
Yeah.
And so we knew, there's some really fun connective tissue there. So how can we take what they're reading in the book and take it and turn it into a game? And that's kind of how we came up with this. And this is where we're at now with that.
And it's great because it can play fairly quickly, probably
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
10, 15 minutes.
10, 15 minutes.
So you have dinner. You play the Bedtime Blues game that kind of gets them in the mindset to be in the bedtime. Because let's face it, bedtime isn't easy for anyone.
It's tough.
And when they say that it's easy for them, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
There's something going on there. There's something fishy because bedtime's hard. But what this does is it gets them in the mindset of bedtime, but also when they're thinking, brain activity. Mm-hmm. Especially for young kids, because their brains are growing, that mental activity is almost just as tiring to them as physical activity.
That's right.
And so it's perfect because you play it right before bedtime, gets them in the mood for bedtime, gets the brain a little bit tired from that, and then they get to then go and actually act out all the things that they were pretending to do.
That's right.
To get ready for bed. And then boom, bang, boom, they're asleep.
The other thing I love about this too is that it's not just for preschoolers. Having play tested this with younger and older children, I find that older siblings enjoy it as much as younger siblings. Yeah. And typically, at least with my children, when we were play testing it, my oldest son was teaching our youngest. It's here's how you brush your teeth. So there was a teaching element from between siblings as well, which is really interesting.
That's great.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic.
So speaking of play testing, how do you guys go about doing that with your line of games with Briarpatch?
Well, we obviously have a number of different play patterns that we use, but anytime we create a game, we start first with the book or the title or the brand pillars of the characters. We don't typically take a gameplay pattern and just slap it onto Very Hungry Caterpillar.
Yeah.
We try to start first with what the character is about, what the stories are about, and then think about how can we take this thing that the child is learning within the book with their parent and then gamify that. So we start there at that concept, and then we think about, once again, back to the play and learn system, what are the 5 things that we want to teach kids to the act of this gameplay? So once we do that and we do our early game concepts, so we get to play test back in San Francisco or here or with our children, then it goes forward and we start just kind of honing down, how will the game work? What are the pieces that'll be involved? Not all the fun business stuff, but all the fun stuff, the game design stuff. That's right. Most importantly, get to play test it with kids.
Yeah.
And I have a weekly play test group that I have with a group of children and parents who are Montessori parents and Montessori children that help us collectively at Briarpatch really dial in the games to make sure they're suitable for that age and that they're fun most of all.
Because that's key,
That's right.
If it's not fun, then kids aren't going to want to play it.
That's right.
All the other aspects are extremely important, but as long as it's fun, you can get the kid hooked in there, and that's when you start bringing in everything else, the educational. Right. Okay, so tell me about these 3. They look like they come together almost like a set.
Yeah, so these came out a little earlier in 2024. Hocus Pocus, Everybody Focus, Crisscross Applesauce, and Letter Number Bug. 2 are things that teachers say in the classroom already. If you know what the Manchurian Candidate is, if you tell a child crisscross applesauce. They're going to sit down, put their hand, they're going to put their dish, they're going to put their spoons in the bowl.
Spoons in the bowl.
Spoons in the bowl, and they're going to sit still. So
spoons in a bowl is a new aspect of it.
It is.
Like, I never knew that growing up, but my kids, they know. They know.
Same thing with Hocus Pocus, Everybody Focus. Yeah. Like, teachers use this in the classroom. So we thought about, like, how can we create fun learning games that utilize terminology that teachers are using in class right now. So that's where these games kind of started. So this is kind of our part of our school readiness line, which is brand new for 2024. And joining that is Letter Number Bug, which is a highly irreverent game, right? It's like, because kids by kindergarten should be able to distinguish between, like, what the letter B is versus Z, or the number 1 versus 10.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, why not throw something kind of fun in there like bugs? Because kids love bugs.
They do. It's right? So gross, but they do.
Yes. But all these games kind of, of our 2024 line lean to that school readiness approach. So we think about how do we get kids learning without even really knowing it. And these games, of course, have very fun toyetic elements. And like all things with kids, these games are meant to be played on the floor.
Yep.
In the room and around the house. It's not just about sitting at a game table like we're doing right now and playing a game. These games are meant to let children be active in the same way their minds are and their bodies are. So Crisscross Applesauce, as an example, allows kids to act out games of charades together on these fun cards. And they perform these different charades together and try to string them together. And they stand up, move around, jump, act like rabbits, croak like frogs, trace letters in the air with a talking stick, do jumping jacks. And the more the kids can cooperate together to get all these things kind of done in a pattern in a row, the more they score. So it's a cooperative style game. Whereas with Hocus Pocus, Everybody Focus is more of a spatial awareness game.
Yeah.
We thought it'd be really fun to create a game where kids are having to recognize what objects have been added or removed from a table. But we know we have to get kids to cover their eyes. So we have these fun masks that go over their eyes. So they get to guess what's been added or subtracted. So we have these fun wooden elements, these flat elements. Some of the components actually go in a stand. This is, I think, my kid's favorite.
Yeah. So luckily, being so close to you.
100 feet away.
100 feet. Legally has to be 100 feet. No. But because of my proximity to you, I have had a chance to play test these with my kids. And this is my favorite. Mm-hmm. It was probably my kid's favorite as well. Letter Number Bug might also be a contender because they like the aspect of scattering and everyone running around the room to try and find the right bugs and stuff.
I love all my children equally, much like how I love all of our Briarpatch games equally.
There you go.
This is my kid's favorite. This is the one that teachers tend to really love, is the Crisscross Applesauce. And Letter Number Bug, I think, is the one that gets kids the most active because you're not only guessing what card's going to be drew next, but if it's a bug, you have to find it in the room. Yeah. So kids get up and around and start jumping around and moving and racing to find it.
So, just for clarification, because we played the game, it's like a matching game where all the cards are in the center of the play area, with the exception of the bug cards. The bug cards have been previously scattered all about the room, not just in the general play area. So that when it comes time for them to have to find a bug, they have to jump up and run around to all the different places where a card might be to try and find the right bug. And it can be a lot of fun.
My kids in the play testers were hiding them beneath the couch cushions in the kitchen. So
we were a lot much nicer than that. But that's, I mean, because I was playing with some 4-year-olds and they don't necessarily think to look under the cushions.
Oh, sure,
Or they'll spend 10 minutes in one area, and I have to be like, guys, it's
over here. It's over
literally visible. It's right there.
Well, I think we know this as parents, is like, we typically co-play these games with kids.
Oh, yeah.
And to the point where we can get, either children learn to play it on their own or they're playing with siblings or friends.
Yeah.
And that's an important aspect, I think, of this particular line is that, learning is a lifelong journey. And, it starts at a very, very young age. And these sort of games we really see as like these catalysts for parents to interact with their kids, to teach these basic school readiness principles without having to sit down, with a piece of paper and go through it in a very rote way. This is a fun way to get kids active. It's a fun way to like engage their imaginations. It's also a thing that it's kind of a magical gameplay element to it as well. And this was kind of developed actually because a lot of parents were working from home. Yeah. They didn't have the benefit of daycare to help supplement the education for their kids. So that was kind of the foundation. I was like, okay, so here's kind of the problem. We see kids who are kind of coming out of the pandemic, were in a daycare, didn't have the assistance of having an educator in the home outside the parent. So how do we develop some games to help parents teach these kids to prepare them for kindergarten?
Yeah.
And that is the foundation of our school readiness game line with these 3 products.
Fantastic. I noticed we also have this guy out, I Spy Flip and Find.
Yes, I Spy Flip and Find. This is based off the well-known I Spy license. I think everyone grew up with these books. I did. Yeah. You probably did too.
Scholastic all the way.
Yeah.
So this is a matching game. I also got to play test this with my children.
You did.
And that is, it's a matching game, but with I Spy imagery. Now, if you remember I Spy imagery, it's very kind of almost chaotic.
You have to find the hidden object that matches the rhyme.
And so what I like about this is it's taking a sort of flipping matching game and kind of like ramping it up, because instead of like, oh, it's a hippo, and then when you match it with the other hippo, with this, it's like, okay, I've got a sandy beach scene with glasses and a ducky, and then you flip over another one that
it's like a Christmas card where you see like a wooden caboose and a tree and a toy soldier. So there's definitely a layer of I wouldn't call it complexity. Yeah. But it kind of turns its ear, so to speak, on the typical matching game.
And it's not like you flip them, you flip one and then you try and find the other with matches. It's you have a stack that you're flipping over, and then once a match is made, it's a mad dash scramble for everyone to kind of like tag it out.
That's right. There's like a little what we call the match pad. And I like to refer to this as the card flipping frenzy game because it goes very fast. Yeah. So you start to lay your cards out, and you're pulling from a stack in the center of the play area, typically on the floor, and there's a match pad nearby. So as cards are being drawn, you have to hit I got a match pad in order to claim a matching pair of cards. So it takes some of what I feel is really interesting about like the matching socks game. Yeah. And it works in, kind of changes the way the gameplay pattern works. I love the fact that it's like these really fun, complex I Spy book images.
Very busy images.
Very busy.
And that can kind of like not mess with your head, but it can kind of trick your head a little bit because you're not looking for the specific hippo. You're looking for a crowded image that matches another crowded image that's already out. And so your brain can easily miss some.
It's a different cognitive level.
It is. And so then when like maybe your brain misses it, everyone else's brain misses it, and then you're a couple more in, and then suddenly someone's like, wait a minute, those two on the other side of the table, match. And so suddenly it's like kind of a delayed response sometimes, which I find fascinating and definitely separates it from their traditional matching games. Yeah. It's got a much more chaotic's the wrong word, but I can't think of the right word. Yeah. So a much more chaotic element to it. I found very fun.
I think what I love about I Spy Flip and Find, it's kind of the same thing I love about I Spy Dig in one of our other Briarpatch games, is that it's not just for preschoolers like adults can play in it, and it's just as engaging. Yeah, and it's not a difficult game to play. No. But it has a fast card flipping racing element, and it's fun to see how kids react in the same way that parents and older adults like us react when we play the game. It's the same behavior. It's like, find a match, and they'll slap the pad, and they're just going as fast as possible. Yeah. So as more cards are laying out, the game actually speeds up, and it's the same for kids and for adults. I'm a big believer in like, can this be a drinking game, right?
How can we turn this preschool game into...
Not a drinking game for children, mind you.
Of course not. Oh, God, yeah. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Daniel. I don't want to take too much more of your time, but I do have to ask. What's the game that got you? You've been making games for many years. What's the game that got you into it?
Oh, yeah.
What brought you into the world of games?
Well, this is an interesting side story. The very first game I ever bought with my own allowance was the Batman board game. You may or may not remember it as a glow-in-the-dark game you could play in dark, and it had like a little spinner and little Batman pieces. But that game was made by University Games. It was made by Bob Moog.
Really?
And I discovered, during my series of interviews, I saw the big marquee for the Batman board game. I'm like, I recognize the game. And Bob's like, I made that game. I'm like, that's the first game I ever bought with my own allowance. I actually have that game in my office here in Kansas City. You've seen it.
The actual original game that you bought.
I still have that. And it's, it's kind of funny how these things kind of come around. That's the first
full circle moment.
Yeah, that's the first game I feel was kind of like my gateway game. I discovered Dungeons and Dragons and other board games beyond that, and then now I find myself being able to work with all these wonderful licenses on games my kids love, and working at Briarpatch is just is truly a delight.
Fantastic. Okay, well then I will close it out with one last question. What's the future of Briarpatch look like?
Oh boy, we've got a lot of fun new licenses that we're working on right now. We have a few new fun games planned for 2025 I can't quite talk about yet.
Of course.
But we do continue to going to extend our existing licenses in line, so we'll see some more school readiness games. We've had a few that have won awards already, so we know we're kind of heading in the right direction there.
There you go.
Obviously for 2024, we have Bedtime Blues and I Spy Flip and Find. And then 2025 and 2026, we have some really exciting games coming out as well. So I can't wait to talk to you more about it and play test them with our kids.
Absolutely. Daniel, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
And I'll see you around.
100 feet in the air.
Hey, did you like that video? Why not run down there and give it a little like? Or write in the comments what you liked about it. Better yet, you could hit this button right here to subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with all our fun videos. Speaking of those fun videos, you can click right here to watch some of them, huh? And if you're watching this on your phone and I'm just kind of doing this and there's no buttons over there, just use your imagination. Okay, bye, love you.